everybody. It is your girl, Anna D, and I am here with your next episode of More to Life podcast. So obviously, no co host today, and actually, I'm about to just get comfortable because I feel like today I'm going to be, obviously, I'm jumping straight into it. I'm going to be talking on the things that I've had questions from before I started releasing episodes, and then also the ones that I got after. So yeah, let's just go and get comfortable. I'm gonna get comfortable. Um, one second. Okay, so again, hey everybody, it's your girl Anna D, and I'm here, um, for your next episode, and I feel like a lot of people may misunderstand um the journey that I took or the journey that I'm on or where I was. And it's clear that there, if you knew me before, it's clear that there is an adjustment from where I was and where I am now. Thank the Lord, everybody. Let's go ahead and thank the Lord for those changes, right? But it wasn't the easiest thing to do. It wasn't the most simple. It wasn't the most drawn out. There wasn't a plan. Um, it was a lot of trial and error. And so we're going to get into that. I'm gonna just jump in. We just gonna go from there and we just gonna figure it out from there. So, okay. So now that I got myself situated, this episode is called Down to the Wire. And I had trouble trying to figure out like what I was gonna name this episode just off the strength of it just feels like it's gonna get personal. Um and if you know me, I have no problem sharing things about myself to help relate, to help explain, to help give advice or whatever the case may be. But I'm also a very private person. Like I only know a handful of people who can tell me what my life has looked like in the last few years other than my siblings. So it takes um God, honestly, for me to be able to feel comfortable enough to express some of the things that I may express. But that's what I'm here for. That's what some people are needing. And what good am I if I'm gonna hold this information to just me, you know? So I'm gonna start out with some of the questions, and then from those questions, we'll you'll get the dialogue, you'll get the understanding, you'll get the background. I just hope y'all stick around to the end of this episode because I don't know what to tell you, but I feel like it'll be a blessing to many, a blessing to myself. And again, I just hope it gives God glory at the end of it and helps a lot of us to understand the things that we didn't think were possible are actually very much so possible. So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to start out with the questions and we're just going to go from there, okay? So one question that I got from one of my viewers is, hey, well, this was also prior to, what is your podcast about? So I've kind of answered this on social media, but I do want it to be laid out. This is the Christian podcast, okay? So it's based on a general podcast conversations. Obviously, I'll have interviews, I'll have guests, but it's mostly going to be centered and based on just talking on real life experiences, right? But not only just womanhood, not just about what life has taught you, not just about things you've been through, but actual things that can show people that where you are in a worldly sense doesn't mean that you can't get to a place with God that'll really reshape your mind. I feel like for me, More to Life, if you know the first season, obviously you can't listen to it nowhere unless you done downloaded it somewhere, okay? I'm not ashamed of what was, but I also don't want to leave out things that don't glorify God anymore, right? So the podcast More to Life before was definitely still about things that is more to life than just money and being famous or being content creators or being social media famous or being somebody's girlfriend or boyfriend or having the best Valentine's Day experience, whatever the small things we be really tweaking out about. But we were talking about, it was more so entertainment based. So it's about the things of the world that I was in the media entertainment world. I was on tours, media corresponding, interviewing celebrities. It was a bunch of things that I was doing that I was using this platform for originally, but the conversations were definitely a lot more secular. So we were talking about things we shouldn't have been talking about. Well, should not have been talking about it, but in the manner that I was talking about it, obviously was a little wild. It was definitely raw. Okay, it was definitely real, and I didn't have no filter, neither did my guests. And nothing against that, but now this podcast is to really give people a real live conversation about things that people are scared to talk about in the church, scared to talk about with their friends, scared to talk about, in situations where they feel like they got to filter themselves. Because you don't have to filter yourself. Obviously, there is no cussing and things like that of that nature, but it's definitely just conversation that'll help you to realize that you're not alone in certain things, or that even the people that you feel may be in a space to have it all together all the time didn't always have it all together. And to show you that just because you don't have it together now, or just because you don't understand how to properly talk to God now, just anything. I really can't even really explain in one niche what more to life is about. It's about everything. It's about showing you that there's more to life than what we're expecting life to be. It's about expecting the unexpected and having people who can real life talk about it and not be afraid to tell you about expecting the unexpected and how they came out of it. Because if you sitting on this couch with me, you came out of it. If you sitting around here listening right now, you either out of it or you will get there, and I can promise you that. Okay. Next question. Is this content beneficial for men too? Absolutely. I was given the honor to speak at my church a few weeks ago, and I talked about some women in the Bible, specifically Jael and Deborah. And I said to the men, yeah, I'm kind of talking about the women in the Bible right now, but this message will bless you the same. It's for men too, because I'm not going to just have women on this platform. And just because I'm a woman doesn't mean the things that I say won't be something that you can relate to or that you can pull from. If I didn't want my listeners to pull from me from something, I wouldn't be doing it. And so I'm even more grateful that this is a platform that both men and women can listen to, because the gems that'll be dropped, God will use you for anybody. And that's what I want God to use me for anybody who comes across this. I want them to be able to pull from this and know that God is still with them. God is still real. And that whatever you've been praying for, that the time that you hear, whatever you hear is what you need. I'm just not in the space anymore to talk about the small stuff, or just go with life just day by day. You know what I'm saying? I just can't do it, y'all. I can't do it. If you know me, I'm a very funny, jolly person, but I just feel like, I don't know, I've just been in a space lately where I have been down to the wire with stuff. I'm not playing with nothing else. I'm not playing with nobody else. I am doing what makes me happy, what makes me feel good, and what honors God at the end of the day. Yes, will you slip up? Yes. But at the end of the day, man, male or female, anybody can take some kind of advice like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. What kind of topics will you cover? What are your pillars? So my pillars are, I don't know, I guess it's kind of hard to just distinguish, but they're male and female. Now I'm stuck on that. But they're on life, how to handle situations based on a Christian base to do it. And I'm not a very religious person, right? My religion is Christian, but I go to a non-denominational church. I was raised in a non-denominational church. So I personally am more focused on my relationship with God and the supernatural and the Holy Spirit, and obviously the Son of Man, obviously as well, than telling people, oh, based on Christian beliefs, you should dress like this, dress like that, do it like this, do it like that. No. Now, I do base my life goals and experiences and decisions based on the Bible, Old and New Testament. People like to say that was the Old Testament, that was the New Testament. Well, baby, a lot of what's in one is in the other, and there's nothing new under the sun. But the topics will honestly, they'll range from adjusting from one life pattern to another, love, family, um, advice on how to handle situations, growing relationships with God, how to go about growing your relationship with God. It'll be a lot. I don't even want to limit it to saying that I have any pillar, because there aren't any pillars. The biggest pillar and the most important pillar for me is the pillar that's on my logo, and that's the cross. Jesus died on the cross for us, and so I don't want to live my life doing anything that'll make it be pointless or make him feel like he did it for nothing. Well, and obviously I know he knows he didn't do it for anything, but I don't want to be any reason to show that I'm not grateful for him doing that for me. So that one pillar is just to make sure that I'm bringing everything back to God, everything back to show the Lord that I am grateful for where he brought me. That's the only pillar. And to show people that even in everything that I've been through and whatever advice that I will have, I'm letting you know right now, it's going to go right back to that Bible, or right back to how God has brought me through. If you don't want to hear that, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. Another quick question. Is it on Spotify? Yes. It is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and you can see it virtually on YouTube. I was trying to debate if I was going to do a visual, just because obviously, like I've stated before, I am doing this on my own. I had things in place where I was going to have other people a part of it, but I'm also pulling myself out of the space of being lazy. I will have the tendency to do this, and this, but then be lazy about this, lazy about that, lazy about that. Like, I'll rip and run for everybody else and be lazy for myself. And you might not be able to tell that on my socials, but the mental break that I had to take when God really started reshaping me, I used that as an excuse to fall back from some things, which honestly, let me give myself some grace. And again, make sure you guys give yourself some grace in this journey of you trying to figure out what you're doing, where you're doing it, who you're doing it for. Okay. I don't even want to necessarily call it lazy. I feel like it was probably God separating me from me, because the me that I was not the me that I am. And the me that I was going hard about. I was really handling it. I was really getting down to the nitty gritty, down to the wire, to everything that Anna D wanted to do. But it wasn't. It wasn't. It just wasn't. I'm gonna get into that a little bit later, but it just wasn't. So, long story short, yes, it's on Spotify. Okay, so is this strictly a Christian podcast? Anybody can listen, even if you're not a Christian, but it's definitely Christian based. Absolutely, it absolutely is. And I handed on that prior to getting ahead of myself, reading through these questions, but it absolutely is Christian based. A lot of people can say, yeah, but God know me. God know we cool. Yeah, but you can't, like, that's like telling somebody that you love them, but you're not texting them, you're not spending time with them, you're not doing things to show them that you got their back, or or that you on their team for real. And that was me. I would say that I'm a Christian, but I wasn't doing things to show God I was on his team for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, I never spoke against him. I never spoke. That was my foundation. You know what I'm saying? But the life I was living was very clear that it was very hypocritical. I was one of the ones at one point that people would be confused. If you're a Christian, why are you doing this? If you're a Christian, why are you doing that? You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, there are things that we don't have the answers to, and everybody's path. My path should not dictate what you decide to do for your life, but I can't be mad at someone who saw my life before and thought that people who believed in what I believed in was really about what we was talking about, especially if I was standing on couches. I mean, I would get lit, y'all. Standing on couches. It's crazy because I was in a play. And in the play, it was like back in the day, you know what I'm saying? I used to smoke weed, be in the clubs. Baby, that was my life. And not just because I wanted to, but also because I used to get paid to be there too. You know what I'm saying? But I would also use that as an excuse to why I can't go to church on a Sunday morning because I needed to go to brunch because I had to go make an appearance. That was a slap in the face to the Lord, honestly, y'all. And I didn't realize that until God really put me on my face for real, you know? But yes, Christian podcast. Y'all see me. I'm gonna take one thing and slide all the way to the left with it. Actually, it's gonna be to the right because it's gonna be exactly what I need to say and what some of you all may need to hear. So you want to hear things on discernment. Okay, cool. I'm gonna handle that. I might use an episode for that. So that is a question. Can we talk about discernment? And yes, we can. I just don't want to do that just on my own. I do have guests in line that I feel will better help express or explain or to break down discernment. Okay. Um so let's see, what else did I have? How do you figure out or know the purpose and life that God has for you? Um mm, I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna come back to that. Because part of that question, I'm gonna just come back to that. And matter of fact, yeah, I'm gonna come back to that. What are your expectations for the revamp? Um, just this, being open, being raw, and bringing it back to God. Really, I don't really have any. I'm learning to go into things without having expectations because I don't want to sell myself short or overcompensate myself for something that God. I don't want to keep move faster than God, right? So I can have the expectations of I just want to be consistent. I want to give glory to God. I want to relate to people. I want to make people laugh, smile. You might tear up a little bit. I just want you to feel your emotions through. I want you to acknowledge how you feel. I want you to be real with yourself. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of time I wasn't real with myself, and that's why I used to stress so much. I don't stress about nothing no more. I can promise you that. I can know that this is due and that's needed and that has to get done and that has to get done. And for me, it's just like, I'm going to get there. I'm going to do it. Because the more I try and stress and have control of things, the more things go haywire. So yeah, my expectation is just to let it be real, fruitful, that you guys get something from it, you guys benefit from it. And it's just, you know what I'm saying? Be my real and authentic self. You know what I'm saying? I don't have any reason to be anything other than that. And so that's my goal for this revamp is to just be exactly what I preach, to be somebody who practices what they preach. Okay? I don't curse anymore. I used to be a heavy drinker. And in the Bible, just letting y'all know, and I'm not advocating for you to drink, but in the Bible it says, do not be drunken. So it doesn't say not to drink unless you are priestly. But again, that's a conversation for somebody else to help better explain. And then I don't smoke anymore. I used to be a heavy, heavy, heavy smoker. So I'm just wanting to be somebody who will say these things about how I feel like God can really grow us if you just really trust Him. But in order for me to do that, I had to be honest with myself and honest with where I came from and honest with where I'm at. And just be transparent about it. You know, if anybody's gonna judge me for it, that's for you to take up with God because I don't care about what people feels about my past. Now there is a such thing as righteous judgment. So if I'm talking about God here and there, and then I'm still out standing on couches in the club, then yes, I can't get mad at you for looking at me crazy. You feel me? But the way God got me, you ain't got to worry about that. You ain't got to worry about that. What was your turning point in life? What change did you have to make to get ahead? That's connected to the question I just skipped, so I'm gonna come back to that. What is the basis of the pod going to be about, and what made you want to start a podcast? Okay, so I talked about the basis. What made me want to start it, again, what started it previous years ago was I wanted to create a platform for artists in the entertainment industry to be able to talk about what they do and also give them opportunity to, just chop it up with somebody and have real conversation. But it wasn't for artists that were big. I was focusing on indie artists or underground artists, artists that are amazing, but they don't have the exposure yet. That was what my goal was. Now I revamped. I held off for a couple years. I had a couple of changes in the co-host. And then I just felt something in my spirit wasn't right to change it. And then lo and behold, now that I'm here doing it, God works in mysterious ways. God wanted this to be for him. So when I restarted this podcast, I had a couple of people in my corner who really pushed me to be like, hey, they had a relationship with God as well. So God put me in the right standings with certain people so that when I wasn't pushing something forward like I needed to, God had used them to speak to me about, hey, God is waiting on this. God is waiting on you. I knew in my heart I wanted to do it again. I just never started it back because it didn't feel right. It didn't feel, I don't know. It was just something, God not allowing me to restart it because it wasn't going to be what it needed to be. It wasn't going to be what God wanted it to be. So I couldn't do it. So when it was time for me to restart it at that point, which I'm going to go back to the questions that I skipped, which is going to lead it to here, I had some things I had to get in order first. I had to get my heart right, my mind right, So me wanting to restart it is something I've always wanted to do. I'm a talker. I wanted to be a radio host, but the companies I used to work with didn't see me for that. They used my talents as a content creator, as a media correspondent, as a Jane of all trades, because whatever they needed from me, I would do. But my heart was always in speaking. I've always been a very well-spoken, very quick on my feet, very open, very honest. And if I don't know the answers, I'm gonna be like, I can't tell you. I've always been pretty level-headed. And I just felt like I always had a charisma. Like I'm smiling just talking about how much I love to just speak. And God knows that. And this was something that allowed me to just speak with nobody's say so, but God's, nobody's direction, but God's, nobody else's agenda, but God. And look at me. I'm chilling by myself. Cold to my left of me. You know what I'm saying? Even that cold outside. It was cold this morning. Got my Jesus shirt on. Shout out KTL Art. I might have said that wrong. It's been a minute. But yeah, like I can have the headphones on or off today. I'm just feeling like keeping them on so I can hear myself because I'm talking to myself. So yeah, it was just time. It was just time for me to get going, honestly. And it was something that's always been in my heart to do. And I know God is going to take me across many, 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 many people and many, many places to speak, because he know I can speak with the words he needs me to speak, to bring people to Christ, to bring people to an understanding, to get people to trust him and love him again, past the nonsense we try and do. We want to love him the way we want to love him. And so that's what I'm here for. So I'm going to go back to the questions of what was my turning point in life and what change did I have to make to get ahead, which also ties into how did I figure out the purpose in life that God has for me. And I'm going to read this disclaimer that one of my viewers had sent. They said, I don't know if this is too vague, but I really want to know and understand how to be a young Christian adult in this day and time. I want to be myself, and have fun. But at the same time, I feel like religion, Christianity holds me back. I hope that makes sense. Well, yes, it makes sense. So honestly, that was my struggle in the beginning. Like I was explaining before, I went to church, raised in church and all that. It's funny that you asked this because that was one of my struggles. And of course, it wasn't a struggle while I was doing it, right? Because I was so far from God at the time that I didn't really understand that what I was doing, I was making a choice between the world and God, right? So in the Bible, it says, "Be in the world, not of the world." I was of the world at the moment. Um, so for me, there is no blueprint on how to be a young Christian in this day and age besides trusting God for real. Because for me, I wasn't really trusting God, right? So I wanted to do things my way. I wanted to get the money this way. I wanted to pitch my ideas this way. I wanted to run my business this way. I wanted to still have fun. You know what I'm saying? I'm only 26 now, but I've been doing what I've been doing in the entertainment industry since I was like 17. So at this point, I would have been coming up on 10 years in that realm. Um, and there was no in between. You can't you can be a young Christian and live a great life. You can still go out with your friends in certain areas now. Know where it is to go and where not to go, right? To each his own. But I'm just as a Christian advocating for God and wanting to be in the right standing with God. I'm not gonna be in the club standing on couches and also being in church Sunday morning. I just feel like it's contradictory if we're gonna be real. I'm letting y'all know now I'm keeping it real. Okay. I'm gonna just keep it a bean. So for me, it's like I can't do both. I couldn't. Now at that time when I was in the entertainment industry, I felt like if I go to church, I'm gonna feel like a hypocrite because I'm out in the clubs doing this and I'm gonna go to church. So if I go to church, that's really gonna hold me back from what I want to do. That was my thinking, right? But at the same time, was it really holding me back or was I holding me back? Me making a decision to be in the world, of the world as well, was holding me back. Who knows where I would have been? And not that I'm in a bad space now, but who knows where I would have been if I would have done things the way God wanted me to do it from the beginning. At the end of the day, God knows all, right? He knows our steps. He orders our steps. He's very aware of the thoughts that we have, how our heart is, the where our heart is turned, what decisions we're gonna make. He's very aware of those things, right? But at the same time, if I wouldn't have made some of the selfish decisions that I made to do what Anna D wanted to do, I would not have ended up in certain predicaments. Um, whew, I would not have ended up in certain predicaments that I was in. And I'm not gonna cry. Um, but God just really the myself I thought I wanted to be was not me. That was the me that the doors that I opened for the enemy to get to me and change some things about me. Those things were not me. Those were the spirits and things of the enemy that I allowed to mask the me that God made in order to do what I thought was what I wanted. Um, so it was really hard. Um, a lot of things were harder than they had to be because of that. Um, so yes, I get wanting to have fun and go out and do everything that your homegirls is doing and all that, but and I don't regret a thing in my life, right? I don't regret what God has brought me to in order to make me who I am today, right? But if I could go back and change some decisions I've made that were worried about wanting to be young and free as opposed to being the young woman God had made me to be, I'll change it in a heartbeat. It's just not worth it. The popping bottles ain't worth it. The skimpy outfits ain't worth it. The promiscuity ain't worth it. The attention ain't worth it. It's just not worth it. None of it is worth it. Um, Everything happens for a reason, like even down to my tattoos. Like every one of my tattoos have meaning. And again, it's contradictory because they're a lot of 99% of them, if it's not family, it's based on my faith. But even in the Bible, it says not to mark your body, right? So I was in a space where I wanted to do what I wanted to do, but still keep a piece of Christ with me, which at the end of the day, I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel like that might have kept me from going far off the deep end. Is that I still knew what my foundation that my parents instilled in me was. But I feel like it's a lot better. Don't focus on what you think you're missing out on, because you're really not missing out on nothing. You know what I'm saying? You're not missing out on anything. Yes, I had a blast. I'm not gonna sit here and lie because I changed my life, that what I was doing wasn't fun, or that I didn't have a good time with my friends and my people hanging out. No, I had a blast. I was turned up. But it's not worth now the way that I have yielded to God, it was not worth me knowing that I probably really hurt him by pushing him to the side because I wanted to be of the world so bad, because I wanted to do what I wanted to do so bad. You know what I'm saying? It breaks my heart to know, like, dang, God, like, I was really out here treating you like how I say I don't want to be treated by men. You know what I'm saying? I would, you know, do anything and everything to do my part, make sure they happy, make sure they love, make sure whole time they push me to the side like it's nothing. I was treating God how men were treating me. And I repent to the Lord daily for that. Because it's not worth wanting to be young, wild, and free and be a Christian. If I can give you any advice, be the Christian. Or if that's who you already are, right? I'm not convincing anybody to be something that they're not. But it is based on this person who's saying they want to be a Christian, but they also want to go and just live their life. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You can still live your life, have so much fun. I haven't touched a club in almost a year. And I've probably had more time smiling being out than I was being in. And I thought being in was what was making me smile, when really it was holding me hostage to the liquor, to the weed, to the late nights, to the party, to the standing on the couch and singing the same old songs over and over. That's basically blatantly speaking things against the word of the Lord. That's why my spirit would feel uncomfortable when I would want to go to church, but I'm like, oh, I can't do it. I was just in the club. You're right. Actually, you could go. But them spirits that I had opened the doors in to tell me what I can and can't do had me feeling guilty, had me feeling like the life that I was living was not going to be good enough to go to church anymore. And that's a lie. From the pit of hell. But what I can say is, if you wanted a decision to figure out if you can go and have fun and be drunk and all that with your friends, and also tell God you want to be one of his servants to on this earth, you can't. That's just me being honest. I don't know what other answer I could have given you. And I honestly feel like if you would have asked me this question almost a year ago, I would have probably told you could. But that would have been a lot. And that is why there is always timing and why God does things, because I would have been in wrong standing telling you that it would have been okay if I was in the space that I was in, if I would have released this podcast any sooner. Then I would have been responsible for leading someone down the wrong path. That would have been on me. I don't care what nobody say. That would have been on me. That's why God will only allow. God know what he doing. That's why I couldn't release this any earlier. That's why the podcast is now. That's why my revamp is now, because God has me in a space that he's opened my mouth to allow me to speak. He wasn't letting me speak before. If I would have spoke before, I would have had the people who do listen to this all kinds of discombobulated, unless they knew God for themselves or unless they knew things for themselves. But for the people I want to reach also are also people who don't know no better. And if they would have been listening to me before, I would have had it all wrong. And I would have felt so bad at this point in my life now. So I'm glad that God had me in that space. I'm just, saying that. So the next thing was how to figure out or know the purpose in life that God has for you. how did I figure that out? And I'm still figuring it out, honestly. But I just had to get to a point where I was just one night I was sitting in the bed and I'm pondering the definition of happy, right? I'm like, Lord, I'm content. But what is your purpose you have for me? What is gonna make I want to be happy? I want to be in full bliss every chance I get. But the season that I was in, everything was a process. Like I was walking one way for so long. I can't expect God to immediately change everything for me. I was walking against the walk he had for me for so long. And so when I got to a place where I'm like, God, what is the purpose you have for me? How can I be happy? But I really sat back and I was like, but what do I mean I want to be happy? Do I even know what happy means? And not just happy, you know, in the natural world. I don't want to just be temporary happy. Like I want spiritual happiness. I want to know that spiritual satisfaction. Like Lord, what is your purpose for me that beyond making me happy? What will make you satisfied? And and this is where I can bring the word in, right? It says, happy in Proverbs 18:34, it says, happy is the man or woman that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. Length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. And all her paths are peace, and her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retaineth her. So, in order for me to learn the purpose God had for me, and to get happiness that I wanted, the only getaway that I started to understand was to read and study my word and trust God and follow his instruction and, to lean not to my own understanding. And I had to just stick to my gut to know that if I'm going to make a decision to really follow Christ and to get an answer about how I could finally be happy and know my purpose, I had to really make a decision to stick to my gun and follow Christ wholeheartedly. So there would be times like I felt like I didn't know my purpose because I didn't know. I felt like all that I was a failure in relationships, right? I'm smart as I don't know what. I'm intelligent. I'm happy as far as my demeanor. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm there for everybody. I'm multi-talented, multifaceted, but I was not happy. Um, so in order for me to know what my purpose was and how to be happy, oh, sorry guys. I always get emotional when I think about like where I was and where I am. Um, God had to really sit me down and just be like, hey, this is not, whew. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a crybaby. Relax, okay? But God just had to really say, like, this is not what I had planned for you. This is not all you are. You are loved. You will be. I had to really just sit down and realize, like, I had to stop thinking about everything I didn't have. I had to stop thinking that I wasn't worthy of being like, I have 8 siblings. And at the time all of this was going on, all of them were in relationships but me. Um, my parents have met and been married for 36, 37 years almost. And I'm like, what is it about me? So I couldn't even get to trying to ask God what my purpose was, because I couldn't even get out of my flesh to understand that I'm saying I'm not happy when really God really gave me everything God has loved me so much that there have been so many situations that I could have been in that he did not allow me to be in, because he knows what I can and cannot take. He knows. God knows my purpose. I'm over here asking God what my purpose is, but he has to reveal things to us when he senses us to be ready. If I'm not ready, if I'm not already showing God I'm willing to give him time, give him the space, give him the love, carve out, trust him for real, how can he trust me enough to tell me what my ultimate goal and my ultimate purpose in life is for him? Because I don't care who you tell. There are many people in this world that God has given gifts and talents, but you're using it for the wrong reason. You're using it for the enemy. You are being witchy, you're warlocky. And I don't care what anybody has to say about it. I hope you're listening too, because at the end of the day, God suffered for no witch to live. And God will do things and give things to us with hope, with trusting us with these things, right? So if God was to give me this too soon, who knows how left I could have taken this. God is trusting me with this to be sure that I am spreading the correct information. He is allowing me to speak on things that I still have yet to open my mouth on, because it's still a timing about things. And at the end of the day, like, if you want to be happy, if you want to know your purpose, the only way you're gonna find it is by building a real relationship with God, for real. I mean, I'm just being honest with y'all. And I don't care if people want to call it churchy. I don't care if people want to say um that this is a how can you say this if you don't know? I don't know. Right now I know my purpose is to help in the education system where I can, help in the marketing and digital marketing business where I can, get my master's, be a great sister, friend, future wife, and this podcast. Be a vital piece to the ministry that I am a part of, and to seek God daily, even the days that I don't seek him enough. Repent for the days that I do things known and unknown that are not unto God that I need to. I don't have to explain it to anybody. I don't have to seek forgiveness from anyone but the Lord, unless I actually wronged you. And if I am in the wrong, I have no problem apologizing. But when it comes to me finding my person, me being my purpose and being happy, like, I've been doing what I've been doing for years, but I'm still not. I still want that spiritual satisfaction from God, for God to tell me what it is he needs from me. And you won't get an answer like that until you get it from God, until you ask God. You can't say, how do you find the purpose God has for you? The key to that is that it's the purpose that God has for you. And all I want is the purpose that God has for me. I don't care who it offends. I don't care who it saddens that I don't hang with them anymore, that I don't go out to this place anymore, that I don't do this anymore. I can't. My spirit man won't even allow me to, because the Holy Spirit is a very gentle person. Jesus, God, won't force anything onto us. And just for the simple, and I am somebody who needs and requires gentle people. And just the simple fact that they're like that, and just off the strength of loving us so much, who am I to then continue to do things that are not going to be unto their will or unto their way? I don't know, y'all. I'm already almost an hour in this episode, and there's so much more I want to say, so I may save it I'm going to save it. I just hope that from this, it was kind of like a Q&A with a little bit of my little crybaby-ness in there. But a lot of people don't understand me. A lot of people don't try to understand me. A lot of people just want to know or assume what they know about me and leave it there. They want to think I just up and one day made a decision. God has always been the head of my life. I just didn't always do God right. And for that, I repent unto the Lord again daily. It wasn't just a decision like bump everything I used to do, but it was a decision like bump everything I used to do because I want God more. It was gradual change, gradual fixings, gradual things I had to let go, experiences with demons and evil spirits and evil people that I came across. That was all in preparation for me to begin to understand rather, what the Lord has for me. And like my pastor tell me, you gotta toughen up, buttercup, because I'm a sensitive girl. And I'm okay with that, because I'm gonna cry about it. That don't mean I'm gonna be wound up about it all day and night, but I'm gonna cry about it. And but I'm just in a space where God is building my spiritual muscles so that when my full and entire understanding for what God is needing of me, even now it already is that, but I won't have any hesitation to saying to God, yes, amen. Whatever God has for me, I want to jump off the bridge and do it. That's the purpose I know He has for me right now. That's the purpose I got for me for God. I can tell you that. But this was just an episode. I wanted to keep it real and raw because I'm expecting people to come on this show and be raw too. And so I had to come on here solo dolo and do that. So I hope that y'all love this podcast episode just as much as you'll love the ones where we kiki in the whole time, and that you getting gems from, and that you getting free advice from, and that you getting some guidance from. I hope this was something that could bless you too, because I feel a little lighter that I released it. So this is Anna D with More to Life Podcast, and I just hope and pray that you feel blessed in this. I love y'all. And again, the episodes are every other Wednesday, dropping each Wednesday at 6 p.m. I love y'all. And for those who've been tuning in and showing love, thank you. I appreciate you. Follow me, Anna D Official. Follow my podcast, More Life Podcast. Follow my people. Shout out again to my Bricky Cookie, Bricky on the beat, for this beat that's been looping this entire time. Shout out to all y'all. Shout out to everybody. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. And it's Anna D for More to Life Podcast. Now check it out.